שלום, 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 חברים יקרים. Welcome, welcome, welcome everybody. I'm so glad, I'm so happy to see so many people that gathering together in the middle of the finals to spare, to connect together, to become better. Wow. Okay, I just give 1 minute for everybody to get in. I do some techniques stuff, likes to change and rename. Okay, I tell you, read up and things. I don't know if to speak on Hebrew or in English, but I try to combine. Anyway, for to people that know me and people that are not, my name is Lior Limelech. We are the Shluchim of Chabad on Herzliya, on IDC, on the college of IDC. And we are very exciting for this evening. We have in the college of the IDC, special college that's very pioneers, very progress college. And we have an international school at that campus. And all the time, I wanted to give something for them, for the non-Hebrew speakers. And we have tonight, only one day after ראש חודש אדר, מי שנכנס אדר מרבין בשמחה. חודש אדר, the Gemara says, that יסברים מזלי ותקיף מזלי, זה חודש עם הרבה מזל, with a lot of luck. Everybody comes together, change their luck, bring luck to their life. This is the month that we can do it. We have hosting here, very famous rabbi, very loved rabbi, one of my favorite rabbis, Rabbi Manis Friedman here, that the words are short to describe him. And just I can say that I'm very excited to host him here. And I believe that you're going to enjoy. We try to get progress to Purim. And then here you are the students that came from all over the world to the International School of IDC. 70 countries we have in this college. This is the only college of Israel that's learning on English. And I see as rabbi a lot of you every day, and I see that you deal with a lot of hard time here in Israel, and especially on the Corona time, Corona period. And this is the Holy Land. Sometimes you think that you arrive to the Holy Land, you become more holy, but the things go harder. Herzliya is one of the hardest and the secular places all over Israel. And it's very hard to survive the spiritual life at that campus, at that area. And that's what we want to do. We came here to Herzliya to become a house for you, place for you that you can every time come, ask anything that you want, talk about anything that you want. We are here for you. Our slogan is free love. This is our slogan. This is what we do. A lot of services that you can give to the students, like to learn screwdrivers and stuff. We have medicines, we have anything. We have connections of people from the army, on the government. We are here for you. And moreover is the spiritual place that you can come and recharge yourself every Shabbat meals, every holiday. We are here for you. So I think I give now the honor to my favorite rabbi, Rabbi Manis Friedman, that I love in his special aspect of view, the point that give the power of everybody, to everybody the power to survive any spiritual and art situations. Even that you came to secular place like the IDC and you think the point that you are shluchim, you're shluchim of God, and God give you already the powers to survive it, and you have a missions, and as a soldiers you can do a lot of bigger things that you think that you have. I don't know what's Rabbi Friedman going to talk tonight. I know just it's going to be good. Try to talk about Purim, and after that, if you have a time, I'll be very glad if you can answer them to questions. Thank you for everybody that enjoy. I tell you something, I'm with mask now, and there is an echo. I know that nobody probably don't hear me so good. This is the weird times that we're living here in Israel and all over the world with the COVID period. I don't like to call this period the COVID period or the Corona period, the Corona time. This is the Zoom time. This is a Zoom period. This is a revolution of the knowledge, the revolution of the liberty of all the limits, all the borders. I want to do this Zoom, an event for my Chabad house. I order a musician that come play at my house. And now I needed to go to hospital for good reasons. And here I am in hospital, and there is no borders. You can spare your love, you can spare your words to everywhere from anywhere. No borders, no limits. So I hope that I will going to have good news for you tonight. Probably will start to figure out where I am, but I don't want to talk until the thing's ending. I just say bless and success to everybody, especially my wife. And I want to honor this night to one very favorite girl that learned with me that unfortunately died this week, Dana Bat Yudit and Yossi. That's this lesson B for Ilu Nishmata. As I will bring the camera and the microphone to Rabbi Manis Friedman. Thank you everybody that got here tonight. L'chaim, l'chaim.
So you have a mazel tov?
What?
Can we give you a mazel tov?
I'm waiting. We are waiting. Hope so. Bezrat Hashem.
Yes.
We are from Netanya now.
Here to give you the mazel tov.
We're at Netanya. Okay, so I make you as a spotlight or to make you to an host.
Yeah.
A spotlight for everybody.
Okay, so the first thing about Purim, which is also the month of Adar, the first thing about Purim is that no place in the Megillah, the Megillas Esther, no place does it refer to Mordechai as religious. He is Mordechai HaYehudi. There's no opposite. The opposite to religious is secular. The opposite to secular is religious. The opposite to physical is spiritual. Anything that has an opposite is not emet. It's not the truth. Because the definition of the truth is that it has no opposite. Now you can say, what? A small aleph. It's not the truth, it's a truth. That does have an opposite, because you can have true, you can have false. But when you're talking about the real emet, there's no opposite. There's just the absence. You cannot know the emet, but there's no opposite to it. That's what makes it emet. So we have to appreciate that the Megillah doesn't mention God's name, and it doesn't mention religion, and it doesn't mention secular. It's just a story, a history event in the pages of Jewish history. And what is it telling us? That a Jew is a Jew, and we will always be Jewish. Has nothing to do with religion. Because again, religion has its opposite. Religion is not the emet. Torah is not religion. And the proof is, religions come from the Torah. So let's take a look at some of the justifications for simcha. We live in a world that doesn't seem to be very happy at all. All you hear in the news is bad. Confusion, disease, people dying. That's all you hear. So where are you supposed to have simcha from? What is the simcha? So we have to question the most fundamental, the most basic principles that we've never doubted and we've never questioned. For example, human beings, by nature, human beings have many, many needs. Many needs. Starts off with the need to be healthy, the need to live, the need to survive, the need to be secure, to live in peace. We need to eat, we need to drink, we need to breathe, we need to have protection from the cold or from the heat. Have many needs. As we become more sophisticated, more technologically advanced, our needs increase. We need a house, you need a car, you need a vacation place, you need to be able to travel, you need to be able to buy stuff, you need to be able to go shopping, you need entertainment, and the needs just keep on growing and growing. What does psychology tell us? Psychology is a brilliant insight into the subconscious mind where we have needs that we're not even conscious of. So what did psychology do for us? Added a whole nother layer of needs that we didn't understand before. And what does religion do? I'm not talking about the Torah. I'm talking about religion. What does religion do? Religion tells you that even after you die, you're going to have needs. You need to be protected then. You need to be blessed then. You need to be saved from hell. And you need, it's like, when do the needs stop? Now, the only reason that we are not happy is because of our needs. I need to eat 3 times a day at least. That's it, I'm already depressed. I can't be happy. Because at breakfast, I have to worry, what am I going to eat by lunch? And at lunch, I have to worry, where am I going to eat supper? Listen to this amazing new realization. For all history until today, people are convinced that human beings are needy. I need and I need and I need. And religion tells you how needy you are, how you can't do anything by yourself, how without God you can't succeed and you can't be healthy and you can't survive and you can't win. You can do nothing without him. So you have to pray to him and you have to plead with him and you have to beg him and you have to cry to him and you have to be miserable and maybe he'll be nice to you. What a depressing life. And then you have the chutzpah to come and say, be happy. You just made me miserable. Don't tell me to be happy. You know why we're miserable? Do you know why we hate being needy? Because we're not. Our needs are not true. Get ready for this. It isn't true that human beings have needs. Not true. So when I feel like I do have needs, it makes me crazy because it's not true. See, even in yeshivot, even people who study the Torah seriously make this terrible mistake. Upside down, backwards. We have many needs. God, well, he is the creator and he is perfect and he has no needs. So he is happy and we are miserable. That is upside down and wrong. Wrong. Listen to this. If you created the whole universe, wouldn't you have a need? Would you create the whole universe for nothing? You don't need it? God created the universe. He doesn't need it? That makes no sense. Yeah, but he's perfect. He's perfect, so why should he need anything? It'll stop in a second. Hang on. So the argument is, since he is perfect, how can he need anything? Saying God is perfect is a nice compliment, but it doesn't describe God. Yes, he is perfect, but that's all? This is the whole point. The whole point is, Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. What is it telling us? It's telling us that he was Elokim, he is perfect, and yet he created the heaven and earth, which means He's more than perfect. We'll get to that in a second. But the point is, if you think that God created a world that he doesn't need, you have the wrong God. That's avodah zarah. A God who doesn't need his creation, that is not the God of Israel. That's the God of Aristotle. So let's get it straight. The creator of the entire universe has a need. What he created, we, us, human beings, we're not the creator. We don't have needs. I don't have needs. I need nothing, 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 nothing. You know why? Because I didn't ask to be born. You know why I didn't ask to be born? Because I don't need it. I don't need to be born. If I was never born, I would never complain. So listen to these words. Ani lo nivresi elo l'shamesh es kaini. Ani lo nivresi. I, for myself, I don't need to be born. Don't do me no favors. I don't need anything because I don't need to be here. I don't need to exist. I don't need to live. If you think about it, for the last 5,000 years of history, what motivated people? Why do people do what they do? Why do they go to school? Why do they get jobs? Why do they make money? Why do they buy a house or build a house? Why do they pay a mortgage? Well, because you have to live. You have to live. So since you don't want to die, you do everything you do in life, including religion. What would happen if we came to the conclusion, I don't need to live. I don't need to live. I'm not depressed and I'm not suicidal. I just don't need this. I don't need this. Now what? If I decide that I don't need to live, then I don't need anything. So ani lo nivresi. For me, don't create me. Please do me a favor. Elo. Why then do I exist? Which is a very good question. L'shamesh es kaini. Not because I need to live. I am needed. Someone needs me to live. And that someone created me. I don't need to live, so I didn't create myself. Let's get down to details. I don't need to eat. Oh, if I don't eat, I'm going to die. So what? That makes it my need to eat? I don't need to live. I don't need. And again, this is not because I don't like life. I love life. I don't need it. So to say I need to eat is not correct. Listen to this little story. A young boy, a yeshiva boy, went from the United States to France, to a yeshiva there. He comes into the office on the day that he arrived, and he said to the mashpia, He said, I need to call my mother. Which phone can I use? The mashpia said to him, I need to call my mother. And the boy said, yeah, I need to call my mother. And the mashpia said, I need to call my mother. The boy didn't understand. What are you making fun of me? But after the third time, the boy realized what the mashpia was saying. So he changed it. He said, my mother needs me to call her. So which phone can I use? And the mashpia said, good. That was your first lesson in the yeshiva. What's the truth? A teenage boy needs to call his mother. No, he doesn't. Unless he needs money from her. But as a teenage boy, he doesn't need to call his mother. Does his mother need him to call her? Yes, she's sitting, she's worrying, did he arrive, is he safe? So when the boy says, I need to call my mother, that's so not nice. It's your mother's need. Why are you calling it your need? And what is the difference? If you're doing it because your mother needs, then you're doing something special. And everybody should help you. If you need to call your mother, so find a telephone. Nobody has to run around helping you. If you need to eat, so go find something to eat. If you need to feed somebody, if you are giving tzedakah, then I will help you. I also want the mitzvah. This is the difference. To say I need to eat is not correct. I don't want to eat. I have to stop eating so much. Sometimes I'm busy and I don't have time to eat. But I have to. It's a handicap. I can't help it. How did I get into this mess? I don't need to eat. But whoever created me, whoever designed me like a car can't run without gas. I can't run without food. I don't like the idea, but nobody asked me. So if I designed myself, I would never do this to me. I have to eat 3 times a day. That's crazy. I have to sleep. I need to sleep. I don't want to sleep. Waste half my life. But whoever designed me said, no, you're going to go to sleep, or you won't be able to function. So I don't need to eat. My creator made me eat. He needs me to eat. I don't need it. I don't need anything. Can you imagine if tomorrow morning everyone in the world wakes up and says, I don't need anything. I don't need to get a job. I don't need to go to school. I don't need to pay bills. I don't need anything. Why? Because I didn't ask to be born. If you think about it, it makes so much sense. I am born into the world. Nobody asked me. I didn't agree. I didn't sign a contract. I didn't make an oral agreement. I never promised to pay bills. But I'm born, I have to pay bills. Why do I have to pay bills? And in order to pay the bills, I have to get a job. In order to get a job, I have to go to school. In order to go to school, I have to wake up early and catch the school bus. I don't need this. I don't need any of this. So it's like somebody invited me to a very expensive restaurant and then told me to pay the bill. That's what life is. You're born into this world without any consultations, without agreeing, without wanting it, without needing it. You're born into this world, and now you have responsibilities. So imagine a religious grandfather says to his grandson, get up, you have to go to synagogue, you have to go to minyan. The grandson says, you know, I thought about it, and I came to the conclusion that I don't have to. I don't have to. The grandfather says, yes, you have to, you have to. The grandson says, I don't have to. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need to put tefillin. I don't need to keep kasher. I don't need to keep Shabbat. I don't need. Oh, yes, you must, you have to. No, I don't have to. I don't have to. Well, you know, if you don't, you're going to be punished. You're going to suffer when you die. Okay. Now I see that I'm right, because you have nothing more to say. So now you're threatening me. If you're threatening me, it means you have no answer. Who is right, the grandfather or the grandson? The grandson is right. He doesn't need to. I don't need to put on tefillin. In fact, if nobody ever told me about tefillin, I would never even think of it. I don't need tefillin. I don't need anything. I am not the creator of the world. The creator of the world needs me to put on tefillin. That's part of why he created me. So he needs it. I am here to serve him. So when I'm in a good mood, I put on the tefillin. Why? Because he needs it, not me. My mother needs me to call her. I don't need to call. I may want to. I may like to. Don't tell me I need to. I don't need anything. That is such a different world. So two things. Psychologically, I am completely without depression. If I don't need anything, I will never get depressed. If I don't need anything, then life is free. I have no burdens. I have no problems. On the other hand, my being alive is much more important than I thought. I thought I was alive only because I didn't want to die, which makes no sense. You live your whole life in order not to die. Senseless. Now I find out that I am necessary to the creator of the universe.
Mm.
So what just happened? I changed. Instead of being needy and weak and dependent and hopeless, I am now needed. Not needy, needed. I am here because God needs me here. Otherwise, I have no problems. So I have only one question in life. What does he need me for? And that's the meaning of Hineni. God calls Avraham. Avraham says, Hineni. You see what Hineni means? Hineni means I'm available. I have no needs. If you have a need, I will become your partner. If you have a need, tell me, I'll do it. Hineni, I am available to you. Okay, let's change the subject a little bit. What does it mean, God needs? Isn't that a little too human? Human beings have needs. How does God have needs? Okay, here's another problem. We have everything upside down again. Does God have an arm? A yad? The Torah says Yad Hashem. Does he have a yad? No. Does he have an eye? Einei Hashem. Does he have eyes? No, no, no. Pi Hashem. Dvar Hashem. Does he speak? Does he have a mouth? No, 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 no. Does he get angry? No, no. Does he get pleasure when you do a mitzvah? No, 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 no. Is he jealous if you serve other gods? Of course not. Why? Because all of those things are human, and God is not human. Doesn't have an arm, he doesn't speak, he doesn't have eyes. He doesn't have feelings. Nothing makes him happy, nothing makes him sad. So why does the Torah say Yad Hashem? It's a metaphor. It's kaviyachol. I don't understand that. It doesn't help me when you say that God split the sea with his arm and then tell me he doesn't have an arm. So what did you just tell me? You're making me crazy. Again, listen to this. Listen to how backwards we have it. My granddaughter was crying because her doll broke. The arm of the booba came off. So I sat down, I said, oy, 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 oy. I can't believe how much that hurt. She says, it didn't hurt. I said, how could it not hurt? The arm came off. She says, it's not a real arm. I said, why? She says, because it's plastic. I said, oh, right. right? A real arm can't be made out of plastic. It's true, no? So what is a real arm made out of? Well, a real arm has a bone and muscle and skin. Really, that's a real arm? That's not an arm. That's a bone with muscle on it. Why is that a real arm and plastic is not a real arm? It turns out the arm that human beings have is not a real arm. It's a physical model of a real arm. A real arm can split an ocean. A human arm can't do that. So it's not a real arm. So who has a real arm? The Creator, God, has a real arm. A real arm. Mamash, yes. A literal arm, yes. Real, yes. Actual, yes. You mean like mine? No, yours is not real. Na'aseh adam b'tzalmenu kidmutenu. We are created to look something like him, but he's real. We're the copy. So he has an arm. What do we have? A physical copy of an arm, not a real arm. God really speaks. Vayemer Elikim yehi oir, vayehi oir. You try it. Say vayehi oir, see what happens. Say it very loud. Scream. Nothing's going to happen. Because dibur is by him. We just have a cheap physical copy that we call speech. It's not the real thing. So you see how we got everything backwards? What does it mean God is not human? What does it mean? That he's less than human? That's crazy. Of course he has everything a human being has, but he has much more. So does he speak? Boy, does he speak. Like really speak? Yes. Like me? No, you babble. God gets angry. Really? Come on, he really gets angry? Yes. Real anger? Yes. You mean like me? No, no, not like you. You lose control. That's not anger. You just fall apart. God gets angry. We don't even know how to get angry. So, who's more real? The creator or the creation? I mean, come on. How is it that most Jews who should know better are convinced that the human being is real and God is not so real? You talking about God? He's less real than you? So when people say, God has no needs, human beings have needs. You see the problem with that? Human needs are real. God is not so real. Are you kidding? God is more real. So when I'm upset that people are suffering, when it hurts me to see people suffering, how much does it hurt him? Oh, it doesn't hurt him, he's God. What kind of nonsense is that? If a human being has enough decency to feel the pain of another human being, God doesn't have that decency? Of course he does. But by him it is so big and so infinite that our compassion is nothing compared to it. We read in the Torah recently by Kriyas Yam Suf. Torah says that Moshe was crying to God. And God says, Loma titzak Eloi. Why are you screaming at me? So Rashi explains, God was saying, not why are you screaming to me? Loma titzak. Why are you screaming? Olai. This is my responsibility. I'm taking care of this. Why are you screaming? You're trying to tell me that the Jews are in trouble and they need help? That's my job. They're my children. So, Loma titzak, olai, like it was written with an ayin instead of an aleph. Olai. This problem is on my shoulders, not yours. So you're telling me that I need to help the people? That's what I'm here for. The same is true anytime when we cry or we complain that people are suffering. There's too much pain in the world. Are we telling God something he doesn't know and something he doesn't feel? Are we more compassionate than him? Or do we have a tiny bit of compassion? And he has an infinite amount of compassion. So let's get our life figured out. And this has nothing to do with being spiritual or religious. It has to do with common sense. What am I doing in this world? What am I doing here? Well, I got to make my life good. I don't gotta anything. That argument is gone forever. There's a guy in India who sued his parents, took them to court, literally. He wants them to pay all his bills for the rest of his life. Why? Because they gave birth to him without asking him. So if I never agreed to be born, then you got to pay all my bills. No, it makes sense. Makes a lot of sense. They went to court. The court ruled that he is wrong, and the parents don't have to pay all his bills. Why? Because the parents argued, we also didn't ask to be born. So they went to the grandmother. The grandmother said, I also didn't ask to be born. So what are you supposed to do? Bring Adam and Chava to court? They also didn't ask to be born. The argument, you have to, is gone forever. I don't have to. So what are you going to tell me? I'm going to die. Okay. I don't care anymore. Not because I'm depressed, because it's not my problem. The Torah told us this 3,000 years ago. Bereshit bara Elokim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. You didn't create the world. You have no problems. But he who created the world has a problem. He needs the world fixed. He needs you to fix his world. So are you needy? No. Are you needed? Yes. By whom? By the creator of the world. Now you understand. Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha. If you're serving him, you'll be b'simcha. If you're doing what you need, you're already depressed. Okay, now we understand simcha. In the month of Adar, we should be more b'simcha. Why? See, there was nothing the Jews could do to protect themselves from Haman because his plan was a secret. How did the secret get out? Mordechai was a Navi, and God told him what's going on. And he revealed the plan to Esther. Otherwise, we were completely helpless. What can you do? If the king of 127 countries gets all his countries ready to destroy the Jewish people, what are you going to do? So we needed protection. The whole story of Purim is we are protected because he, God, needs us to be here more than we need to be here. So of course he's going to protect us. That's the simcha. Like we expect, you get married, you expect to have children, you expect healthy children. Why do you expect it? Why are you so optimistic? Why are you optimistic that you'll get married? Because God wants you to be married more than you do. So if he wants you to be married, it's more likely that you're going to get married. And if you get married, you'll have children. How do you know? Well, because he wants you to have children more than you want to have children. So if he wants it, of course it's going to happen. And how are you confident that your child will be healthy and whole? Because he wants Jewish children healthy and whole. So if he wants it, then you can be confident and you can be optimistic that it's going to happen. The Karov Mamish. I'll keep talking until the baby is born. So people, let's get our mind clear. We've got everything so backwards. I don't need to eat. I was created to eat. My creator needs me to eat. So look at this. What does it mean to eat l'shem shamayim? To eat l'shem shamayim simply means don't say you need to eat. That's wrong. Like the boy who says, I need to call my mother. Don't talk like that. If you don't say, I need to eat, you eat because God created you that way, then you're eating l'shem shamayim.
Hey, Santa Claus.
So listen, eating l'shem shamayim is the natural way of eating. To eat shelo l'shem shamayim is a whole confusion in the brain. So when a person says, I need to eat, your answer should be, you're not God. I need, you're not God. I'm angry. Oh, you're angry. You're not God.
You're angry.
God gets angry. God has needs. God has real pleasure. God has real pain. You? Yeah, you have a little bit of it. So when we say kavayachol, God is suffering with, when Yidden are suffering in Galut, God is suffering with us. Kavayachol. What does kavayachol mean? That's such a tricky word. Everybody understands kavayachol means not really. Right? God suffers with us when we are suffering. Well, not really. Okay, so what did you just say? That's like typing a word in your computer and then pressing delete. God gets angry when you serve other gods. Well, not really. So what did you just say? Kavayachol means God is hurting when you're in pain, but you think that your pain is bigger than his. No. It's kavayachol, as if you can imagine what pain is.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your words.
Who's speaking? Who said that?
Elad Elul.
No, it's someone.
Elad?
No, it's someone who's entering.
It's Elad Elul.
Entering the Zoom. We need to block him.
And he's blaming it on you.
ליאור, תחסום אותו, ליאור.
Anyway, do we have time for some questions? Rabbi.
I'd be glad if asking you something question, because you give her a big bombs tonight. I'm sorry. I said that you give a big information, big bombs tonight. So I'd be glad if somebody ask questions.
Yeah. It's bombs.
אני לא נבראתי.
We had a question in the chat.
Question. I have some question.
Yeah, okay. Hi, Ron.
Hey, how is going with this? I asked that question in the chat. If God needs us, so how came that he made the Holocaust?
Very good question. I don't know.
Why did he ask?
I'll tell you more. Not only I don't know, I don't want to know. I don't want to know why there's a Holocaust.
ליאור, תעיף את מרק.
Ron, you understand what I'm saying?
No, too loud.
Somebody asked Elie Wiesel,
אני רק עושה לו רימור, או שאני...
Yes, you hear me, Ron?
Yeah.
Somebody asked Elie Wiesel, do you know why there was a Holocaust? He said, yes, but I can't tell you. So the man said, why can't you tell me?
בלעדי.
Why can't you tell me? So Wiesel said, because when I tell you, you'll become a Nazi. He said, I'm a Jew. What do you mean I'm going to become a Nazi? Wiesel's answer was very, very wise. He said, what are you asking me? You're asking me, why was there a Holocaust? Why did 6 million Jews die? It bothers you. So you're coming to me and you're asking me to give you an explanation why there was a Holocaust. After I give you a good explanation, then you'll be okay. You'll be happy. It won't bother you anymore. You're going to say, oh, okay. Oh, so that's the reason. Oh, fine. Then I'm okay with it. Then you're okay with it. You're a Nazi. So when we ask, why was there a Holocaust? We don't want an answer. In fact, we get very upset if somebody tries to answer. What, are you trying to make me comfortable with a Holocaust? I don't want to be comfortable with a Holocaust. I'm not a Nazi. So when we say, why do people die? Why is there suffering? We don't want an answer. We just are complaining that there's too much pain and too much death. And don't you dare try to explain it to me.
But it not make sense.
And we see this in the Torah. Moshe comes to Pare, and Pare gets angry and makes the Jews work harder. So Moshe comes to God and says, Loma hare'esa la'om hazeh. Why did you make it worse? What's God's answer? He didn't answer. He didn't answer. He said, watch and you'll see how I take the people out of Egypt. Moshe said, oh, good. That's what I wanted to hear. Don't explain to me what's good about suffering. That was not my question. Interesting thing.
The best.
Unmute yourself. Rabbi Manis Friedman, unmute yourself.
Ron, when did I lose you? What is the meaning of ma nishtana halayla hazeh? Ma nishtana, not lama. Take a look in the entire Torah. Wherever somebody says ma, it's a question, and you have to answer it. When a boy or a girl says ma nishtana halayla hazeh, the father has to answer it. But wherever it says lama, there's no answer. Because lama is not a question. Lama is a complaint. You can't answer a complaint. Either fix it or don't fix it, but don't answer it. By the way, in your relationships, in your friendships, in your marriage, never say why. If your wife says, that really upset me, don't say why. You'll get thrown out of the house. Don't say why. say what? What upset you? Then maybe you'll get an answer. If you say, why are you upset? She'll hit you over the head. So why do the righteous suffer? I don't want an answer. I want the suffering to end. And that's why a child, you say to your child, it's time to go to sleep. And the child says, why? Don't try to explain it. He's not listening. When a child says, why do I have to go to sleep? He's not asking for the explanation of the benefits of sleep. When a child says, why do I have to go to sleep? It means I'm not going. That's all it means. So you have to really be careful how you use your words. If a child would say, Lama nishtana halayla hazeh, his father would throw him out of the house. But ma nishtana? Sit down, I'll explain it to you. And we'll eat a little matzah while we're at it. So the question of why there was a Holocaust is a good question no matter whether you believe in God or not. Somebody once said to me, you believe in God? I said, yes. Why was there a Holocaust? I said, wow. Okay, I don't believe in God. Now why was there a Holocaust? But there's no question that God needs you. I was talking to an 11-year-old boy, and he said, how do you know God needs me? Maybe God just wants me. So I said, you think God wants things that he doesn't need? And the 11-year-old said, oh, yeah, that's... Even a human being shouldn't want what he doesn't need. Every mitzvah is something that he needs from me. Why does a Jew put on tefillin? Because he's religious? Jews are not religious. That word has to be taken out of our vocabulary. We are not religious. And if we become religious, then it's just a religion. It's not Torah anymore. You want to get to heaven? Well, good luck. That's not what the Torah is for. See, here's the difference. Religion is human beings trying to get to heaven. Either it'll work or it won't, I don't know. The Torah is God trying to come down to earth. That's not religion. It's the opposite direction. Religion is when people want to get to heaven. Jews don't want to get to heaven. It's boring. It's like an old age home. It's a Moshev's Canaan. We don't want to go to heaven. Okay, if we can't be here, so fine, we'll go to heaven. But we would much rather be here. Why? Because Torah, Yahadut, is about bringing God down to earth. Why do I want to go to heaven? I came from heaven. I've been there already. Just to go back? For what? This is, I think, the biggest problem in Jewish life everywhere in the world, and particularly in Eretz Yisrael. The biggest problem in Jewish life is that we think that Jews are religious or secular. And both are wrong. Jews are never secular. And Jews are never religious. We're Jews, and we do what Jews do. Who called that a religion? Religion is a terrible concept. It does no good, nothing. It only brings problems. Oh, I can't talk to you, I'm religious. Oh, you're also religious? Yeah, but I'm more religious. It's sick. The whole thing is sick. And to say a Jew is secular, you gotta be kidding, a Jew is secular. Jews are the worst atheists. You know the joke, this guy said, I was raised very religious, but I didn't like it. And I stopped believing in God and I wanted to become an atheist. It wasn't easy, you know, but Baruch Hashem, I became an atheist. We're not good atheists. I was talking to a guy who was a famous psychiatrist in Manhattan, in New York, and he is completely doesn't believe in anything. But his daughter became a Baalat Tshuva. So I was talking about her. And he was very angry with her. He thought it was unhealthy. Anyway, he gets a phone call in the middle of our conversation. Picks up the phone, he's talking to somebody about something. And then I hear him say, you know, I don't know the answer to that, but you can ask my daughter. She knows this stuff. She's really into the Torah. Suddenly he's proud of her. He's against it, but he's proud of her. The Jewish brain is a little... So we're not good at being secular, and we're not good at being religious. There's only one thing that we're good at. Be Jewish. Like in the Megillah, Megillat Esther. Mordechai ha-Yehudi, ha-Yehudim. Not ha-Charedim. Huh?
Chaim lechaim.
Chaim.
Chaim.
What'd you say, Ron?
מרדכי בכלל היה משבט בנימין.
You're muted, Ron.
I'm muted?
Tell Ron he's muted.
Maybe someone asked something, because there's in the chat some question, good questions, I must say.
Ron was saying something, but I didn't hear him.
I said that Mordechai was from Shevet Binyamin tribe. He wasn't Jewish. He's not a Yehuda. He was from Binyamin. As he says before, להיות יהודים, never matter where we come from, or which family, or which tribe are you.
Even in Hatikva. What does it say in the song?
נפש יהודי הומייה.
להיות יהודים. So the plan was, the plan was to bring Yehudim to Israel. And no Yehudim came. Only Charedim, Datiim, and Chavshim. What happened to the Yehudim? You can't find a Yehudi in Israel. Everybody is either religious or secular. What happened to being Jewish?
Rabbi Friedman,
Yes.
there's a good question from our friend Orel. She asks you, how do you make a Jew care about God's needs?
First of all, most people, when they hear this, their whole attitude changes. For myself, I wouldn't do it. For God, I'll do it. We are much more comfortable doing for others than doing for ourselves. That's our nature. So you start off with, look, you don't really have needs. That's a fact. But there are people who have needs. So go take care of them. That's inspiring. Most people are inspired just by the idea itself. Then there are people who say, I don't care if God needs. That's a person who has become bitter. That's a person who's angry. So you got to find out what's making him angry and how to get the anger out of the system. But really, it comes from the fact that all the years we were told, you have needs, but God's need is more important. So shut up about your need and do what he needs. And everybody hates that. So when you come and say, God needs you to put on tefillin, the person is thinking, that's what he needs. I need to go on vacation. God needs me to fast on Yom Kippur. I need to eat. So he still feels that tension. It's me against God and God against me. If it's God against me, I'll go with me. But it's never God against you. So you share this idea with people and see what the reaction is. It's amazing. It's amazing. For the secular, for the religious, they're all shocked. And once they think about it, it's beautiful. God needs you more than you need him. And what's the proof? He created you. So who needs? Look, it's a very practical, simple problem. You put a boy in yeshiva and you tell him, God is perfect. God is infinite. God is kol yachol. God is almighty. God can do anything. God doesn't need anything. But you better be a good boy. You should eat only kosher, and you should not work on Shabbat, and you should not misbehave. And on top of that, you should love God with all your heart. Now, any intelligent kid will tell you, that's ridiculous. God doesn't care about me. God doesn't feel anything towards me. I'm not important to him. He is infinite. he is perfect and I should love him. Doesn't make any sense. What do I love about him? That he doesn't need me? What am I loving? The God that we teach in yeshiva is not lovable. You make kids crazy. Anyway, I got a phone call from a guy in IDC ISRAEL. His 12-year-old daughter is convinced that God is angry at her, and she's miserable. And they went to every psychologist, and they went to every mikubal, and they went to every rabbi, and nobody can convince her that God is not angry at her. So he calls me, and he puts his daughter on the telephone. I didn't know what to say. So I said, God is angry at you? She said, yes. I said, I'm so jealous. She said, what? I said, I'm so jealous. You're 12 years old and you can get God angry? How did you become so important? Even when we say God is angry at us, it is such a compliment. God is angry at you? Really? Why? Why? He even noticed what you do or don't do? Why would he even notice? And what you do is so important to him that if you do it wrong, he's angry? Come on. When did you become so important? And that's why when Christians read about God's anger, they get so scared they fall on their knees. When we read in the Torah that God got angry, we love it. After reading all those threats and the punishments and the anger, and God is going to, what do we do afterwards? We go out into the other room and we make kiddush and we eat a little herring. We don't fall on our knees. Why? Because we take it as such a compliment. The creator of the universe is going to notice what I do. And if I don't do it right, he'll be upset. I can upset him. Well, then I can love him too. But if I can't upset him, then I can't love him. Make sense? So anyway, so I said to this little girl, I can't believe it. You're 12 years old and you got God angry. What in the world did you do? How did you become so important? Anyway, the problem was over. She's very proud of the fact that God is angry at her. Yeah. There is so much beauty in Judaism, and we've taken it all out, and we've made it mechanical, and we've made it a performance and a contest. Who can be more frum, and who can be more religious, and who can be more fanatical, or who can be less religious, and who can be more secular, who can be the most secular. It's terrible. We're not enjoying being Jewish. It's become the biggest stress. Oh, you're not Jewish enough. You're not good enough. You're not bad enough. You're not secular enough. What? Leave me alone. That's the beauty. The Rebbe said, stop a Jew in the street and ask him to put on tefillin. Don't ask him if he's religious. That's a bad question. Don't ask him if he believes in God. It's a bad question. ask him if he has 5 minutes, God would like him to put on tefillin. So if you have 5 minutes, can you do something for God, or is your life only for you? That's it. So if he puts on the tefillin, will he become religious? No. Are you going to follow up and pester him and get him to go to a yeshiva? No. Just tefillin, just today, just now. And what is that going to accomplish? It's not for us, it's for him. That's when you stop being a robot. All human activity is robotic. So if I stop a guy in the street, I say, come, you like to put on tefillin? He says, no, I got to go for lunch. You got to go for lunch? You're such a robot.
So how do you make him just stop and put on tefillin in the middle of the street? With one sentence.
So here's the secret. In Israel, it doesn't work so well. But outside of Israel, you say, excuse me, are you Jewish? That's the first big blow. That's the shock. Excuse me, are you Jewish?
It actually can work in Israel even better.
Yeah?
Yeah, to remind them.
I know, but you know they're Jewish, so what's the question?
Yeah, but they don't even think
They'll
about
be like,
it.
of course I'm Jewish.
Of course
Yeah.
I'm Jewish. You want me to put on tefillin so I can prove you?
See, that's the problem. You see? There's the problem. Most people think that you put on tefillin to prove that you're Jewish. If you put on tefillin, then you're Jewish. No. If you're Jewish, then you put on tefillin. Why? Because God wants a Jew to put on tefillin. He didn't ask non-Jews to put on tefillin. So the first big shock is, excuse me, are you Jewish? And that starts a whole process in the brain. Yeah, I'm Jewish. What, you don't think I'm Jewish? Why, because I don't do mitzvot? Okay, I don't do mitzvot, but I'm Jewish. So that whole process is already such a big success. Even if he says no to the tefillin. So it's never a failure. So to say, here, I have tefillin for you. It doesn't really matter what he says. You already got the message. You already made him feel like a Jew. Now he's going to go home and think about it. It's beautiful. I had a Russian in our community. He came in the 80s. He came to Minnesota. So I asked him, you want to put on tefillin? He said, no. My father did that. No. Second time I asked him to put on tefillin. No, my father did that. That's how they were raised in Russia, that all religion is from the previous generation old-fashioned. So he says, no, my father did that. Finally, the third time, he says, okay. He rolls up his sleeve. I put the tefillin on him, and I say Baruch Atah. He starts to cry. An older man. He starts to cry, and he says, my father did this. See what changed? First it was, no, that's what my father did. Now all of a sudden it's like, I'm doing what my father did? That's Jewish, not religious. You got to make a revolution. There are no religious Jews and there are no secular Jews. There are Jews who get a lot of pleasure from being Jewish, and there are Jews who don't. That's it. זה הכל.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So with the whole story, which is very inspiring, and I really like the whole meaning of your way you talk about God, but what's the whole idea behind Mashiach? Why are we aspiring to something to come if we have to be present at the moment right now? So why are we always looking forward for something that we don't know when it's about to come? Which is
very good question. I'm glad you asked. See, here also, we have to change our whole thinking. It's been so wrong. Mashiach is not a prediction. Mashiach is not the future. It's not even correct to say, Mashiach will come someday. That's not correct. Mashiach is coming. In other words, everything we do, every mitzvah that we do, makes the world better. Making the world better is a project, not a prediction. Now that we've been doing mitzvot for 3,333 years, exactly, it's time that we should see what the mitzvot accomplished. The coming of Mashiach means all of the mitzvot that we have done for 3,000 years will produce great result. And then we're going to need a whole new teacher, Mashiach, who will teach us how to live in a world where there's no evil. But Mashiach is an ongoing process. Not we're going to sit and wait and somebody's going to come and fix all our problems. That's Santa Claus. So it's not Mashiach will come. Mashiach is coming. We're doing a lot of work to make the world better. The question is, why don't we see more results? It's like we planted the seeds. Why isn't it growing yet? So we're convinced that every seed that we planted for 3,000 years will grow. Nothing is wasted. So it's a project, not a belief. Ani ma'amin bevias hamashiach? No, that's not enough. It doesn't help if you're a ma'amin. Do something. That's the Chabad thinking. You don't wait for Mashiach. You make Mashiach. So make a revolution. I was saying here in America to people, ask your rabbi if God really needs the mitzvah. And if he says no, fire him.
Where do you begin?
With your friends. With those who won't shoot you.
It's such a good tip, Rabbi.
Huh?
I was saying it's such a good tip, Rabbi.
It's so necessary.
But unfortunately, in Israel, it's hard. It's so hard to find rabbis who think that God actually needs us, because after we have met your most important and revolutionary message, we started to spread it everywhere, and rabbis have a lot of, except for a lot of Chabadnikim, most rabbis have really hard time accepting this message because they think God is almighty, and this message is actually, it makes him needy. So who is the needy?
I know.
I'm sure
Working on it.
we are working on it.
If you use the example of marriage, why would any man marry a woman and admit that he's needy? If you have any pride, don't get married. Because getting married means you're not perfect. Why are you admitting that you're not perfect? That's ridiculous. You get married when you are perfect. You get married when you don't want to be any more perfect. And you get married not because you need something. You get married because you need someone. If you need something, you're not perfect. If you need someone, you are perfect and a good person. Can you imagine if you're perfect and you don't need anybody? Then you're a monster. A human being should be perfect, but not happy to be alone. See, this is what it means when God said, Lo tov hiyot ha'adam levado. He was talking about himself, and he's telling you why he created you. And he's letting you know, I don't need something from you, because I don't need something. I'm God. But I need you. Because alone, not good. Not I can't. I can manage alone, but there's nothing good about it. What's good about being perfect? Nothing. So when you get married, you say to when you propose, you say to your kala, I can exist without you perfectly, because I don't need anything. But then what kind of a life is that? Without you, what's the point? What's the point of being perfect? So when God says, I need you to be mine, atem tihiyu li, that's not an imperfection. That's greatness. That's goodness. So God is not only perfect, he's also good. Perfect is not good. Perfect is perfect. A statue is perfect. What's good? So if God needed something from me, that would mean a sign of imperfection. He doesn't need something, he just needs me. Like in a marriage. I don't need something from my wife. I just need to have a wife. I was just talking to a group of women. This is my final thought. Talking to a group of women, and I asked them a question. Why do you celebrate your wedding? You're getting married. A big celebration. It's the biggest joy in Jewish life. Everybody comes and everybody... Wait a minute. You don't know how this is going to turn out. You don't know what kind of life you're going to have together. Why don't you wait and see? What are you celebrating? The answer is, getting married means whatever is going to happen next in my life, it's going to happen with you. So I don't know what my life is going to be. I don't know what the future is going to be. I know that it's going to be together with you. That's the celebration. Marriage means now that I have you, whatever happens in life, we're going to be together. That's what God is saying. I'm creating you because I need you. For what? We'll see. But we'll see it together. God created Adam, male and female, right? It was like back to back. One side was female, one side was male. Then God separates them into two people and tells them to get married and become basar echad. Now, you're never going to be as much echad as you were before. So if we're supposed to be echad, why did he separate us? He separates them and tells them to get together by getting married. Getting married is not going to make you one body. Almost. So what did you accomplish? The most beautiful answer is this. Male and female were echad, but back to back, they didn't see each other. God separated us and told us to get married and become echad face to face. And that was worth it. So all intimacy, physical intimacy, has to be face to face. Otherwise, it's insulting. Because the whole purpose of being separated is so that we can come together face to face. And that's the same with our neshama and God. We got separated from God, but then through the mitzvot, we get connected to God. But this time we get connected face to face. So what does God need from us? Nothing. He doesn't need from us. He needs us.
Rabbi Friedman, please, only one more question, small one.
Yeah.
in the מאמר, לא תהיה משקלה. Why did the rabbi cry?
The Rebbe was talking about the ahava to Hashem, the yirah, the ta'anug. And then the Rebbe said, that's all selfish. There's no time for ta'anug, and there's no time for ahava, and there's no time for yirah. Every minute, God needs something from us, and we have to do it. So on the one hand, it's so sad that you don't even have time for ahava, for yirah, for ta'anug. And on the other hand, every minute, you do something for him. That was a revolutionary statement. It changed the way Chassidim thought. That's very much like the neshama leaving heaven. When the neshama leaves heaven and comes down into a body, it loses the ahava that it had, the yirah that it had. So it cries. That's why babies cry. It's a loss. On the other hand, now we can do something for him. That is Jewish. Do something for him. Never mind how much you love him and how much he loves you. Ivdu et Hashem.
I think we come back to the point of
in human nature. I would much rather be necessary than loved. Human beings don't need love when they're grown up. You need love when you're a baby and you're helpless. If nobody loves you, nobody will feed you. You'll die. But once you're grown up, you don't need love. You need to know why you're here. And if you know why you're here, you can survive everything.
even the IDC, even the student life in every college, I think.
Yeah.
Because you have...
The problem with science, science never asks why. They just want to know how. That's not an understanding of nature. Nature exists for a reason, for a why, and scientists don't want to ask the question. But they're going to have to. If you really want to understand the universe, you have to understand why it's here. People, it's been such a pleasure.
Wow.
Let's do this again.
Bezrat Hashem, I am ready.
Lior, can I say just one?
Yes. You want me to introduce you or you say by yourself?
It's okay. So we first of all have to say kol hakavod for you and commemorate you because for doing this. For the last year, Yosef and I have taken it as a project as a mission to make the message of Rabbi Friedman available to Israeli people in Hebrew, in shorter videos because Israeli people are in a rush. And it's been a success, but we were planting seeds, and now I see this as one of the first fruits, the fact that a shaliach is doing a project and is bringing, and it doesn't matter that 20, 30 people who are here are now messengers themselves. And I want to invite everyone. We have a Facebook group called Rabbi Manis Friedman, סרטונים מתורגמים בעברית, short films in Hebrew, short videos in Hebrew, and בעזרת השם,
beautiful video edit of you and Yosef, amazing. This is your profession. You take your profession to Kedusha.
Yes, we took all our talent for this, but it's been a privilege and a great journey. And Be'ezrat Hashem, we're hoping there will be a book coming out. Rabbi Friedman is helping me, and we want to create a revolution in Israeli thinking to bring Judaism back to Israel. And so everyone here, follow the group so that you know when the book is out, you can each one take a book and go and do your own Hasidus lessons everywhere. Teach your family, teach your friends. And it will be amazing. So hopefully very soon.
So you're the people who do it.
Yes,
Yeah.
hi.
Yasher koach.
Well, me, you know by now because we've been working on the article. Yosef, you didn't meet, but your son knows them very well after a year of working together.
Beautiful.
It goes so fast. First of all, I want to say that this Parashat HaShavua that we came from, Parashat Mishpatim, the Rebbe asked a very big question. It says that all the universe, all the times of the humanity, everybody know that war and to kill and murder, this is bad thing. We obey on the 10 Commandments not to kill, not to murder others. And although that our brain understand it, all the time, even non-Jewish believe that it's not good to kill, to murder, to make a war, to take our gifts, to destroy the world and instead to build the world. Although that is, we understand it's obvious, but the world behave differently. And the Rebbe says, Lubavitch Rebbe says a statement, in those 30 years, those last 30 years, to become a revolution after the Cold War ended, that the war became illegitimate. Until then, it was legitimate ways to conquer other lands and stuff and sources. But something changed in the world, and now it's become more obvious not to do it. So Dr. all the time was obvious what's happening. We are getting close to the big redemption. And this is also, those ideas of Rabbi Friedman are based on the Hasidut. And this is also this revolutionary that we have now, that the world is filled with Hasidus ideas. And those Hasidus became understandable, become acceptable by us, and give us a lot of power. So the target line is that we are very, very close to the days of that, as the Rambam finished his words of his book, that מלא הארץ דע את השם, עסק העולם כולו יהיה לדעת את השם, that יהיה טובה רבה, השפעה רבה, יהיה טוב בעולם, יהיה חסד בעולם, יהיה שפע בעולם. ובעזרת השם, שהידיעה הזאת שאנחנו שומעים פה ותתפשט יותר ויותר, זה יכניס לכולם את ההבנה הזאת שאנחנו דבר אחד, ואנחנו דבר אחד עם השם, והכל זה אחד, והכל זה טרגט אחד למטרה הגדולה. ואנחנו כל רגע ורגע יכולים להיות החיילים והשליחים בלקרב את זה. וזה העניין של משיח. משיח זה לא רצון שלנו, זה רצון של אלוקים להתגלות פה בעולם. ואנחנו, יש לנו את הזכות על ידי המעשים הטובים, על ידי המצוות, להיות אלה שמאירים את העולם. אז ישר כוח, ישר כוח, ישר כוח, we are closing. All the things that happen now, it's the COVID, this is the end of the process. And you can stay good together. I hope to do it more. And we are shlichim, everybody's a shaliach. and I don't want to go so fast because we are now in חודש אדר, and מי שנכנס אדר מרבים לשמחה, and I asked a very good friend of mine, Rabbi Alon Weiner, to take his guitar and to give us some music to change our mind, to become happy more and more. And before I give him the camera, I want to say big thank you for Rabbi Manis Friedman and his son Zalman that help us to make this event, make this night. Thank you. I wish you blessing and success. I hope that till the end of the lesson will end, we'll have a good news, but I pray to God, maybe my wife wants me to say Tehillim a little bit more, just not just only Hasidut. So I go to say Tehillim, and I wish and bless everybody in everything that they need, זיווגים הגונים, בריאות, פרנוסה, שפע, הצלחה, בכל מכל כל. ואנחנו פה משפחה אחת גדולה, עם ישראל אחד גדול, והחב"ד של הסטודנטים והחיילים והצעירים בהרצליה זה משפחה אחת, ומוזמנים להיות כל הזמן בקשר, לעשות לייק לפייסבוק, ואנחנו כאן. We are here. Thank you.
ליאור, שיהיה בשעה טובה.
כן?
השם ישמור אתכם, שיהיה בשעה טובה, שתחזרו בידיים מלאות בעזרת השם.
אמן.
שיעבור בקלות.
אמן.
כל הכבוד על המפעל שלך.
אמן. אז הנה אלון נכנס.
שלום, ערב טוב.
אז ישר כוח לאלון ויינרב, חבר יקר, איתנו בבית חב"ד מהרגעים הראשונים שלו. עושה לנו קצת שמח, חבר'ה, בואו נמחא לו כפיים, מקווה שזה יעבור את הסטרימינג של הזום, ושיהיה לנו מי שנכנס אדם הרבה שמחה.
אוקיי.
שבא לך, אלון.
שומעים?
חנים.
שמי, 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 שמי,
עבדו את השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה. חבר'ה, אלון ויינרב. חבר'ה, עוד שבועיים בעזרת השם, משתה שמחה הכי גדול במזרח התיכון, בהתאם להנחיות של הקורונה, אצלנו בבית חב"ד, בעזרת השם, ופרצת עם אלון ועם כל החבר'ה, עם ג'רמי, עם כולם מי שפה.
בוא'נה, שנצליח לזוז אחרי המשתה הזה, כי בדרך כלל לא זזים אחרי זה,
אני מסדר לכם Airbnb.
נהג פרטי.
תמדי עלינו, יאללה, בכבוד. רק תבואו.
עבדו את השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה, לא לפניו ברננה, לפניו ברננה. עבדו את השם בשמחה, עבדו את השם בשמחה, לא לפניו ברננה, לפניו ברננה. אילי, 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 ידעו את השם בסימן, ידעו את השם בסימן, ולפניו ינענה לפניו ידעו את השם בסימן, ידעו את השם בסימן, ולפניו ינענה משנכנס אדם, משנכנס אדם, משנכנס אדם מרבין בשמחה. משנכנס אדם, משנכנס אדם, משנכנס אדם מרבין בשמחה. לילי 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 לילי
יישר כוח. יש לך עוד איזה משהו ככה בשלוף או ש...
כן. נסיים עם בן אדם עלה למעלה עלה.
אפשר, יש לך את הניגון של הצמח צדק ככה, הייתי די, או שאתה לא...
לא, אני מכיר.
אז בכבוד, מה שבא לך, אתה אומן. בן אדם.
בן אדם עלה למעלה עלה, עלה למעלה עלה בן אדם, עלה למעלה עלה. בן אדם עלה למעלה עלה, עלה למעלה עלה בן אדם, עלה למעלה עלה. כוח חסדך יש לך כנפי רוח, יש לך כנפי רוח, כנפי נצרים אדירים, אל תיקח ישפה, חשוב לך, תורך גם בראש בן אדם. בן אדם עלה למעלה עלה, עלה למעלה עלה, בן אדם עלה למעלה עלה, עלה למעלה עלה בן אדם, עלה למעלה עלה. כוח יש לך כנפי רוח, יש לך כנפי רוח, נצרים אדירים, אל תיקח ישפה, תיקח חשוב לך, בראש אותם בראש בן אדם, כמעצור מים. בן אדם
אלוף.
עלה למעלה עלה.
חבר'ה, מחיאות כפיים באלון ויינברג. האיש, אלון, זה משהו של משיח? משהו של משיח, אני מאמין, אני מאמין.
שנייה.
אתה יודע?
כן, שנייה, יש פה רשימה, שמתי רשימה, במיוחד עבדתי בשביל זה, כן.
שאפשר את עם אחשוורוש.
אני מכיר אילו יודע, שיר למעלות.
משהו שמח, לסיום, שיר אחרון.
שיר אחרון לשמחה, שנייה, יש לי משהו. משהו שמח.
משהו. תודה רבה לאלון, תודה רבה לכם שהייתם איתנו פה הערב. בעזרת השם מכאן אנחנו יוצאים ישר לגאולה האמיתית והשלמה. ערב טוב. תודה רבה. להתראות. מזל טוב בעזרת השם.